Hello friends, now let us take up the concept number 8, 21.8, modus operandi of multi-threads. So far in this chapter, I have explained the features and functionalities of a thread and how to create multiple threads through program demos I explained. Now, I will explain the modus operandi of threads, how threads are executed on CPU. You must understand. Here some important points are there. You must know, you must understand these points. Thereafter, I will explain the life cycle of the threads. Actually, there are certain states in the life cycle of the thread from the birth to death. Then all that we have to learn. So, if you understand these points, you can understand the life cycle of a thread in a pragmatic manner. As I told you already, a system consists of multiple processors. Then each thread is allocated to one processor. It is not a big issue, and they should be properly coordinated. But a system consists of only one processor, and if it has to run multiple threads, that means it is performing multiple tasks that we are concerned with. That process is called multi-threading in Java. Actually, multitasking capacity belongs to host operating system. Every host operating system, every operating system is having its own multitasking capabilities and own algorithms to implement them. Now, our Java, through its API, APIs means it's the classes, interfaces and methods, it adopts the multitasking capabilities of the host system and it changes the name also. Here in Java we call it as multi-threading. So, by changing the name of multitasking as multi-threading, Java creates us an impression that all the multi-tasking capabilities are belong to Java. That is immaterial for us because we are learning Java and we are learning Java APIs and we treat it as multi-threading capability is Java's own. Nothing wrong in that, but I want to explain you behind scenes. So, whether you know it or not, it makes no much difference. So, multi-threading capabilities are applicable. Single processor is executing multiple threads that we are concerned with, and regarding multiple threads, we have to learn certain points. First one is, every thread is having a data structure, that is called thread information block. As far as Windows operating system is concerned, it is called thread information block. Actually, every thread requires certain information. All that information is held by this thread information block. That means what is the name of the thread, what are the contents of the thread, and what is the priority level of the thread, and what are the regarding CPU registers of the thread. All that information, pertinent information, is stored in the data structure thread information block. It is related to Windows operating system. That point you have to understand that. Thereafter, actually several threads are there. Then how those are provided to CPU? That is the question. Then this is the CPU, this is the processor, let us simply call it processor. All instructions should be executed only in the processor, that everybody knows. So, now as a program, a single program or single threaded program is divided into multiple thread program. Each thread deals with a module or a logical unit of a program, that you know. Now, let us say this program is divided into 4 logical units or 4 threads. Currently, if you see the diagram, it is like this. All the threads are provided in a queue, first in first out. Queue data structure means first in first out manner it executes the things. Now, thread A, currently thread A is being executed. Thereafter turn comes to B, thereafter turn comes to C, thereafter turn comes to D. So, in this manner actually thread scheduler, one component is there. That thread scheduler allocate quantum. Quantum means a amount of time which is allocated to a thread to use the CPU, that is called quantum or time slicing. So, certain units of time is allocated to each thread. Whether its job is completed or not, it utilizes that much time, that much actually thread A is there. It requires 20 units of time to complete its job, but that thread scheduler through its operating system allocates only 10 units. So, after that, after this is over, it should stand in queue. Then B enjoys 10. Suppose B requires only 10 units, its job is over. Then come to C. C requires 15 units, but it gets 10 units. Then in the next turn, it can utilize other 5. Suppose now D require 20 units, by that time everything is over. A's job is over, B's job is over, the C thread's job, then D can enjoy the whole thing. This is the manner they share the CPU's time, and later in the life cycle I am going to explain. Because of this strategy, they reduce or minimize the idle time of the CPU. If it is a single thread, entire program is made as a single thread, there is scope of lot of idle time for CPU. For example, the program expects some input IO from the user. Then what happens? For that it takes some time. Suppose we have to give input to the thread or the program, then it should wait. Actually, here microseconds time is taken, whereas human speed if you take, we take in seconds and minutes. So, it is million times larger than whatever processor wants. So, processor is forced to keep its time idle in waiting. So, such a type of contingencies are reduced because of this thing, that strategy you have to understand. So, yeah, this is availing the currently availing the time of CPU, and the remaining are standing in queues. In a time slicing aspect, time is allocated and every thread gets its time, and ultimately task is performed by maximum utilization of CPU's time or by minimizing CPU's idle time. Okay, that point you must and if you want, threads can be given different priorities. That option also is provided in a multi-threading program. Threads are given different priorities because every thread is taking up a unique job. That may be that importance in the program may be much higher. Then you can give high priority, and it is medium priority, it is low priority. Then you can give. By that, high priority thread can get importance, and whenever a low priority thread is using CPU's time, whenever high priority thread comes into the queue, low priority thread is interrupted and gives chance to the high priority thread. High priority thread first completes its job. This is like in a real life only. Suppose you attend a function, you occupied a chair, then somebody elderly person comes, then what you do? Out of respect, you give your chair to him and you go to other place. Suppose some VIP comes, then a high priority, then you leave your chair and give the chair to him. Like that and all that, here also if you want, we can create different priorities to different threads depending on the priority order CPU's time is allocated to them. And one more thing you must remember, the host operating system in this manner, it can maintain several threads at a time. Several threads means several queues of threads at a time. Already in the previous concepts I told you, inside the system some threads are working like a system oriented thread. System oriented thread performs several jobs by using CPU's time only. One example I gave you, garbage collection. System oriented thread performs garbage collection. For that also CPU's time is required. So, operating system, host operating system maintains several queues of threads. That point also you must remember. Thereafter, indefinite postponement or starvation. Actually, sometimes what happens, as I told you already, some high priority thread is using CPU, and it does not leave. It does not leave the resources to the other threads. So, that type of process, that type of situation is called indefinite postponement. That means one thread occupies CPU and continuously utilizes that. It does not allow other thread to take the CPU, the processor's time, then that is called indefinite postponement or starvation. And when it is occurred and all that, later I will explain. Just I am giving a briefing about that. Thereafter, deadlock. Deadlock means actually two, three threads simultaneously, concurrently they are working. Suppose, let us say A thread, B thread. Now, in order to execute the thread, several resources are required. So, A require X, Y resources. Now, A thread currently using CPU, and when if it gives CPU and XY resources to B also require XY resources, but it does not release that. Until unless A releases XY resources, B cannot start its activity. So, then it is like from real life, like a spoiled children. Spoiled children, they never allow to give something to others. Like that, here one thread which is executing on CPU does not allow to give resources to the other thread. Because of that, other thread cannot start its functioning. So, that type of situation is called deadlock. So, these things and all the particular situation I will explain to you a little later. First, you understand these facts before learning the life cycle of a thread.